You know that moment when you stand in the doorway of your kid's room after they've left? The bed is made, but it hasn't been slept in. The walls still look the same. Everything is quiet. It's such a strange kind of quiet because you're expecting the house to feel quieter, but you didn't expect your heart to feel louder. I remember standing there and thinking, why does this feel heavier than I thought it would? I was proud. I was grateful. I was excited for her. And I was also deeply aware that something had ended. Today, I want to talk about something that might seem small on the surface, but it carries a lot of meaning for women in this season of life. Turning your child's room into your space. This isn't about a Pinterest makeover or productivity hacks. It's about what happens when motherhood as you know it shifts and what you're left asking, who am I now? It's about life after kids, navigating empty nest syndrome, and gently stepping into your next chapter. This is just an honest conversation about what this transition looks like and how even a room can become part of your healing. Let's begin. Empty Nest Makeover, how to make kids' room into my space. I'm going to talk about different ways we can do that and practical take-home tips. Okay, first of all, don't rush the room. Pause first. The pressure to immediately fix or repurpose the room can feel overwhelming. It can feel like I have to do it right now. You can pause and figure out what you need and how you need it. Rushing often is avoiding the emotions underneath. So just take a step back and take it slowly. Your own resistance when you thought you should be ready to change it could turn into pressure if you have that thought that you should be ready to change this room, and pressure that you feel you immediately need to do something with the room. Just take a pause. It's normal to feel that grief and that pride coexisting. Pausing is not avoidance, it's part of healing, not procrastination. When my daughter left and that room was empty, the bed was made, stayed clean, the first thing I did was just shut the door. I just needed to not be reminded that she had left. And so that was the first thing I did. I just paused. I hesitated when I first thought about changing the room. So I just shut the door and paused and I walked away. It's okay to leave the room untouched for a season. Start with observation, not action. One small, gentle change is enough. Fresh sheets, a candle, opening the window. We'll talk about that in the next points. All right. Next one, choose a purpose that supports this vision of you. The room asks an important question. What do I need now? Not what looks good on Pinterest or on Instagram, but what actually supports your life now and your goals now. How your needs are changed once the kids left. The answer to that question is different after the kids leave. And let go of what you should be doing in that room and listen to your actual life. The moment I realized I didn't want that room to be productive, you wanted it to feel a certain way. So for me, it was growth, a place that was beautiful and where I could create my life and my coaching business. I never had a space just for me. It was always for the kids. So what I did was I turned my older child's room into my space where I had more time to make that transition. She had been gone for more years and had more time to transition. And that's what I ended up doing, was changing her room into my space. A beautiful space that I can coach in, that I can record in, that has good lighting, and it's been great. Reese Witherspoon built an entire second act by leaning into what energized her in midlife: storytelling, creativity, and women's voices, rather than what she already was known for. So here's your practical take-home tip. Ask, what do I want to feel in this room? Match the purpose to the feeling. So some examples, if you want to feel peace, maybe you can have a reading nook or a prayer space. If you want to feel energy, yoga or movement, a workout room. If you want to feel growth, an office, learning, coaching, or creativity, writing, crafting, or dreaming. Okay, next point, honoring the past without living in it. So sometimes we fear that when we change that room, it erases the child's story. There's emotional weight of the trophies or the posters or the books, the clothes, the notebooks. And it's a lot of stuff that reminds you of that child. So it's interesting. That's the stuff they left when they moved out. So the stuff that was super important to them, they took with them. And obviously in dorm rooms, you can't take that much stuff, but it's interesting that we feel so connected to that stuff at the beginning. And so why keeping everything can really quietly keep you stuck. Your decision to keep some things, but not all, can help you release and to be ready to turn that child's room into your space. So this is what I did in my older child's room for my space. I chose a few meaningful things that were hers and I kept them in a box. I kept them aside for her and I asked her what's the most important things. And I had both the feeling of relief and sadness, but the room felt so much lighter. What I realized was the stuff they left behind wasn't the stuff that was important to them, especially as time went on. Martha Stewart has often talked about editing spaces in her life as has her life changed, keeping what matters most while allowing her environment to evolve with her. So here's a practical take-home tip. Create a memory boundary. So a box, something that has a boundary, and choose 3 to 5 meaningful items. Frame or store them intentionally, and then release the rest with gratitude. So you're not erasing memories, you're honoring them, and then you're making room for what's next. And letting go is not forgetting. It's making room for your next chapter. Okay, next point. Make the first change small, but symbolic. So the first change matters more than the big makeover because it's symbolic that shift, it signals safety and ownership and action. Sometimes you just have to take that first action. So the first thing that changed in my daughter's room is I opened up the curtains. She usually would keep them closed and she had these big windows that brought in so much light. Once I was ready to open up the door, I just did that small change and opened up the curtains so that I let the light in. And that small change altered the room and how I felt. It felt light and open again and ready for expansion. Glennon Doyle often talks about listening to what feels true in small, quiet ways. How truly aligned actions build confidence over time. So here's a practical take-home tip. Choose one symbolic change. Opening up the curtains, a lamp, a chair that's just yours, a quote, a scripture, an image that grounds you. Let that room send a message to your nervous system. This space belongs to me now. Okay, next point. Let the room evolve as you do. The room doesn't have to be finished. Your needs change from month to month, and you can do it a piece at a time as you're ready for the next piece. Giving yourself permission to experiment with it, see how it feels, change it up, add a piece here or there. Flexibility matters in this season. So I changed this room from a kid's bedroom to a pretty office that I can enjoy. I put an olive tree, a picture of tulips, and some of my favorite things, my favorite books are on the bookshelf. And I have a quote. She created the life she loved. I made it into a space of light and things that I love and images of growth so that I could be able to have a place that's mine. I'm still unfolding. I'm still experimenting with what's going to work with the lighting, with the organization of the space, and it's evolving with me. So, practical take-home tip, revisit the space, the room every few months. Ask, is this supporting who I'm becoming? Adjust it without judgment. And here's the big truth. Your second act unfolds the same way, layer by layer by layer, step by step by step, taking action one step at a time. If you're listening to this and you're standing in that doorway right now, physically or emotionally, I want you to hear this. You're not behind, you're not selfish, and you're not done. The room isn't empty, it's waiting. Waiting for you to decide how you want to feel in this next season. Waiting to hold the woman you're becoming, not just the mom you've been. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to have it right the first time, and you don't have to figure out your next chapter alone. This season isn't ending, it's a beginning, and there is so much more waiting for you. Thanks for being here today. I'll see you next week. If this felt familiar, you're not alone. I created a short quiz, Who Am I, after the kids leave. It helps you name what actually is going on for you in this season and what you might need next. You'll find the link in the description. And if you want more conversations like this, you could subscribe. I'm here every week.